An appeal has gone to the federal government to urgently intervene on the dwindling fortunes and danger confronting the agric sector, especially the poultry industry, and avert its imminent collapse. A cross-section of poultry farmers under the aegis of the Poultry Association Nigeria at a media briefing held in Ibadan, Oyo State capital. They brought up so many issues, and Olaide Oyewole was there and brings us more reports.
According to reports, the agric sector has been contributing an average of 24% to the national GDP since 2018, providing job opportunities for Nigerians across its value chain. In 2019, the Central Bank of Nigeria categorized the poultry subsector as the most commercialized agric sector, with a net worth of 1.6 trillion, which was about 25% of the sector's contribution to the GDP. However, it appears that the sector can no longer sustain this momentum, as stakeholders in the poultry industry have expressed their concern about the current challenges that are pushing the industry towards imminent collapse. They identified unavailability of maize as a major threat to the survival of their birds.
Some of these challenges include, and not limited to, the following: high cost of feed, caused partly by raw material shortage, given the seasonal of the major raw materials inputs, namely maize, that form about 60% requirement, and soybean meal, among others.
They are also urging the government to declare a state of emergency on maize by permitting its importation, as well as addressing other pertinent issues such as access to loans, among other challenges bedeviling the industry.
That state emergency be declared on maize and soya production through the implementation of farm clearing, seed and fertilizer supply. Grain should be planted all year round, making it adequate, making adequate use of irrigation and of our various river basins. The Western Federal Government, they feed the, what is it called now? IDPs and correctional centers. They feed them every day. Why can't they buy eggs and use it in feeding them? We will not even have enough egg to sell. Look at all the inmates all over the country.
The stakeholders expressed belief that addressing these bottlenecks will lead to a reduction in the existing high prices of the commodity, thereby providing immediate relief to the struggling sector. Olaide Oyewole, TVC News, Ibadan.
Joining us in the studio is the CEO, Tongo Farm Enterprises, Oluremi, Popoola. It's nice to have you join us this morning.
Good morning.
Great. I recall we've had you here so many times talking about, some of the issues, especially in the poultry subsector of the livestock farm. And, it has been here and there. But besides the call for government's intervention in some of the challenges in getting feeds, in vaccinating poultry farm and creating this and that and credit and so on, how has the government responded to all of these? Let's start from there, all the while that we've been talking about this.
Sometimes
okay.
There was a kind of loan being given to farmers.
Okay.
But most of the time you find out that those loans are to the political farmers, not to the real farmers. So you have people that set up all of a sudden because they know that what government is going to intervene in the sector. So that's what you have. And you just realize that at the end of the day, getting back the loan will be difficult. Because it's a kind of way of, paddy kind of deal, And that's not really too good for the farmers. Another thing is that data is another thing. It's something that we have, that every new government has to now generate their own data themselves, or work on anyhow kind of figure, will not help the system. Because you have to be civil service, research people, statistical people should not go and sleep. They should be working. Working in generating data every day, now and then. And at the same time, so that any time they want to support the farmers, the data is there. So there won't be anybody that's, because you heard that something is coming for the farmer, you now set up all of a sudden.
A new register comes out.
So that's that.
So, but to what extent do you agree with the Poultry Farmers Association as to, the way out of this predicament? Because, of course, the food value chain, the business of the food value chain, it's the consumers bear the brunt. We know what the price of eggs are saying now, for example, not to talk about the meat, the white meat that we get from poultry. Even fish, too, is also, so expensive at this time. But what is the way out from your perspective as a practitioner?
I agree with them 100%. 100%.
In what areas?
They talk about marketing, too. How to sell those things to the IDP camps. And they also talk about grains, availability of grains throughout the year. And that's to tell you that what the government needs to be, government has to work in the sense that what, we are big enough not to have a seasonal production of maize, We should have it all year round. And what are we doing? After all, there are some countries that we used to know them as desert country, but they are producing food all year round. So if we are fortunate to have about 4 to 6 months rain, and then the remaining 6 months, someone somewhere should be able to say that, look, let's have irrigation, let's have production in this area. What are we doing to bridge the gap? So waiting for rain after rainy season to another rainy season is not the best for us, because we are increasing in number every day. And our needs are increasing what? Every day. And because we are increasing, our needs are increasing every day, definitely everybody should be what? Should be at work.
You're also talking about importation of maize. Is that something that you subscribe to?
Well, importation of maize is not free. So definitely, with the cost of dollar and pound sterling or euro, it's still going to add to the what? To the cost of production, by and large. So it is not free. But the ones that what? Yes, even if we can't meet the local needs, but we should improve on what we have now and be able to produce more.
Talk to us or share with us how the removal of subsidy is impacting your farm generally. A lot of Nigerians have expressed the concern. A lot of persons have talked about how this is having impact on them as much as they look forward to the bigger picture, the better picture, projecting. But then right now, the realities are not smiling at anyone. Share with us how that is impacting you in your farm directly.
Farms are not in the city. They are in the villages. And we have infrastructure issues, serious one. And not to talk about, I'm trying to really go into the area to your question. Because by the time you look at it, you find out that we have some challenges already, And when you now talk about fuel subsidy, from 150 or thereabouts to about 600 now, that's 4 times. And you find out that a place that you can go with about 3,000, you probably have to spend about between 16 and 20,000 to do that. And most of the time, farmers may have so many areas to cover in terms of moving around and all that kind of stuff. And by the time you look at the cost of those things on the poultry product, it's a loss. You have staff to take care of. And those staffs, they will buy something in the market. And so they are buying something in the market, by and large, they will be telling you, Oga, you know, easy. Not only that, you are keeping millions of goods with them. You don't want them to steal it. By the time you are not responding to their need on time, you know what I'm saying?
They become tempted.
They become tempted. And they are giving you money every day. You know, I was talking about infrastructure. On Saturday, my truck was sunk. You know what I'm saying? It took me another about 4 or 5 hours.
And he had goods, obviously, on them.
So that's to tell you that what, even if you look at Lagos, most of the villages, their roads are bad. And those are the people that are serving the city in terms of food. Because most of the poultry products are in the southwest, especially the one that has something to do with market. And because if the road network is bad, you find out that what, and you have the spare parts and all that kind of thing that you have to buy into your car and all that kind of stuff. Those ones have gone up too because of exchange. So you realize that what, if you now build the cost on poultry products, it's huge. Farmers are right now laboring, I don't want to say in vain, but they are not meeting up.
But how are farmers also exploring alternatives, for example, in this issue of feeds now?
Okay.
Since feeds are so expensive and all that, there's talk about perhaps alternatives or mixing the feeds or local production. I've heard some farmers, maybe not large-scale farmers, but some people say they make the feed, you know, there's a way they can make the feed from within their own companies or poultries, for example. How viable is that?
Just like the report you had this morning, about 60% of food for the chickens, 60% about they are maize. About 28% is soya bean. We try as much as possible to put that one. If I have a birds of about 50,000, and you now require me to go and plant maize again, you kill me. There should be somebody to encourage to do that. And another thing is that what, all these communal clashes in the area of corn production area, soya beans area, government has to address them. There's so much to be done by government, there's so much to be done by the state governments, and there's so much to be done by the local authorities. You see, the challenge is that what, we leave everything to the hands of federal government. Even somebody that is not constructing his house very well in the village, he wants federal government intervention. You see, you have your local authorities. What are they doing? You employ their family members. You give their family members one thing or the other. What are they doing to help the local farmers? In terms of security, in terms of so many other things. If you are producing a bird in a particular place, it should be, it should occur to somebody that, look, these people will need corn, no matter how small. And you see, if you are talking about, value chain, areas of help, all this, some group of people should anticipate that, look, farmers will need this kind of thing. How can we be of help to them? And also, when you look at it very well, you look at it that, you see, everything in Nigeria is chop, chop, chop. There are some things that you have to leave for others to depend on. You know, it's so unfortunate that, you know, maybe during this corn production, maize time, you find out that what, hardly can you see anybody that is not eating corn. You understand what I'm saying? But there are some that has to be what? For
the chicken.
For the chicken.
No, but the point there is, if the corn is available, those who will buy for the chicken will buy for the chicken, and those who will buy for eating will buy for eating, isn't it?
And that's why
I know there are also
the
industrial
first
purposes of
right.
corn as well. Those who will buy for industries will
Yes.
buy for industries.
Yes. And that's why we need a massive to go back to the field.
So it means that the demand is not being met as it is.
It's not being met.
But talk to us about the state of emergency that the government has declared on food security in that sector. They talk about the issue of commodity and exchange board, not only for food crops, but also for livestock, and so on. Talk to us from your perspective. How much of hope is that given to you?
Maybe for us in this country, we have a way of repackaging, rebranding, looking at things in a way that people will have hope. But whether the hope will be sustained or dashed is another thing. Yes, if we introduce that, but road to wealth is not that easy. And everything that has to make it a reality, you have to put it in place. We are talking about communal clashes, those are the things that will make it to happen. We are talking about irrigation, those are the things that will make it to happen. But, you might not really mention it and say that, look, this is what you're going to do. But the question is, those are the things that will make it to happen. If you want to have corn all throughout the year, irrigation and all that kind of thing will make it happen. Communal clashes, in as much as you can make peace, the community can make peace with themselves, will make it happen. Then again, in as much as you can, one thing also very important. I remember that when we were very young, we learned about agriculture in school, in primary school, in secondary school. Sometimes you have your own farm.
Yeah.
It might not even be up. It might be half of a plot. You know what I'm saying? You have your own farm. So share it that look once in a week or twice in a week, or even 3 times, depending. You go there, look at it. I have a small farm beside my house. I set up, yearly I plant on it, and with aid of compost.
Okay.
Compost, the compost, those things we did in primary and secondary school. Cow dungs and goat dungs. You pile it together. You allow it to decay. After 1 month, you apply it to the soil. We don't do that anymore. And that's why I listen to the HR person. When you are talking about interest has to start from the beginning, from the scratch. You know what I'm saying? Those are the road. You need to look at that road. You know what I'm saying? In education, in health, you need to look at that road. Then how do you intend to support the farmers? You see, for example, nothing stops us in local authority to have a roaming about veterinary doctors that support farmers. It's not out of place.
Extension services.
So you can support those small farmers that cannot afford a veterinary doctor. Once they know that doctor is coming on Thursday, they will pile up all their problems, and listen, educate them. So many things you can do for them. And at the end of the day, when you are talking about road to wealth, when you actually see the wealth, you won't be surprised because you have done your own work towards that.
It's okay. We have to leave it here now. We hope that all the programs that the government is trying to put together pays out for farmers and pays out for the Nigerian people and even the economy in the long run. Thank you very much, Oluremi Popoola, the CEO, Tongo Farm Enterprises. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Now, this is where we wrap up on today. We have to let you know that the views and reaction of all our resource persons are their views and have no connection with TVC News. On behalf of my colleague, Kemi Folade, I am Mike Okwache.